Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing great. I want to talk to you about the auto industry today. I've been emailing back and forth with somebody that I'm getting some new, fresh information, boots on the ground in the auto industry as far as what has been going on the last year, what is coming, and some really interesting stuff. And I can't wait. I'm going to be meeting with him this week, getting some more information. Cannot share his identity or who he works for, but there's something he said in an email that is very interesting to me, something that I didn't really even honestly consider. And I'm going to back it up with a story that just came out about this exact topic, and that is car leases. Now, check this out. This is what he had to say. Millions of consumers went the lease route during this last couple of years, can't say the word right, for cheaper payments on newer vehicles and did not want to overpay for a used car. It is speculated by many executives in the industry that the wholesale pricing for used cars is going to drop heavily and go for close to 25 to 30% median in the last quarter of 2023. And this time next year, the demand for used cars will nowhere be what it has been for the past few years. Now, let's talk about leases because I want to talk about this story that I just found, and then I want to give you some of my thoughts and commentary on it as well, okay? Here's why fewer consumers are leasing cars these days. Now, this is out of Forbes magazine, and ironically, this story literally just came out yesterday. Now, first, before I start this, I want to explain. I did some digging into the statistics of how many cars, new cars, are leased opposed to purchased outright or people paying payments on them. And in 2020 and 2021, literally nearly one third of all cars sold were actual leases. All right. Now think about this. When um, when people were out buying up cars using their stimulus checks, it would make sense that a lot of them would have opted to get into a lease payment with something they've always wanted to drive. And now we're about to see those leases being returned. Now, but let's look over this story and talk about the difference between the amount of cars that were leased in the year 2020 and 2021 as opposed to now. It says right here, not long ago, the prevailing wisdom was that if so many consumers, especially those of the younger and hipper variety, traded their costly smartphones in with regularity for costly new models, why not their cars as well? Leasing rather than purchasing and financing a new vehicle accounted for nearly a third of all transactions as recently as January of 2020, with higher market penetration expected, but have since been in a full blown free fall. They now account for around 17% of all new models being delivered to customers, according to the most recent data supplied by the credit rating company. Ironically, one of the main reasons leasing is falling out of favor is the same reason so many customers embraced it in the first place, namely because of the new vehicle affordability, or rather the lack of it. The average new vehicle transaction price stands at $49,388, according to Cox Automotive, which is a 5.9% higher price than it was a year earlier, and a 38% price difference than it was a decade ago. On top of that, rising interest rates are further making leasing a costlier proposition than in the pre-pandemic era. For this, we can blame the Federal Reserve's multiple Fed fund rate hikes to tamp inflation down. According to bankrate.com data, during the course of 2022, the average interest rate on a 60-month new vehicle loan for a credit-worthy customer shot up from 3.86% in January to complete the calendar year at over 6%, almost doubling. Lease payments are based on the difference between a vehicle's transaction price and what the leasing company estimates it will be worth at the end of the term, financed at the going rate of interest, subject to a down payment that's tracked at around 3,000 or more. Battered by rising transaction prices, sky high interest rates, and uh, dearth of automakers incentives, the average lease payment hit $661 at the end of 2022, which is 33% more than it was in the spring of 2020. Now, let's stop right there and talk about this because I find this to be absolutely fascinating. Think about it. 2020, everything shuts down. You're given money from the government and they say, just stay at home, chill out. You start looking at cars. And that is exactly what happened. People started buying cars up like they were going out of style, sucked up all the inventory, and caused prices to skyrocket. Now, what about those people that were leasing cars? Now, one third is not a super high price or percentage when you take into account that 1 out of 3 cars sold were leased. Okay, that wasn't this crazy astronomical percentage. I look back about 5 or 10 years prior in the 20 teens, and it was pretty steady between 25% and 30% cars being leased, right? Now think about this though. People get money, they've got a car that's going out, they want to lease a new car. They start buying dream cars, right? We start seeing, Mustangs being sold and all kinds of other cars, Camaros. I mean, think about this and put it down in the comments. Did you or did you not see an explosion of Dodge Chargers, Mustangs, and all those like sort of sports cars, muscle cars, the newer styles, all of a sudden hit the road in the last 3 years? I can tell you for without a shadow of a doubt, in my area, I saw them explode. It's like every other car is a newer style muscle car, right? So people started diving into these leases. Now think about this. This is very interesting. At the end of a lease, the car it's calculated, right? They give you an estimation of what the car is worth. Right now, cars are sitting at a pretty high valuation. And there are a lot of people that are not going to have the money to buy that car outright, especially if you think about it. Those interest rates, I'm pretty sure, were not locked in when you lease the car. Sure, the lease payments locked in, and let's say even the value of the car, that what they believe the value of the car will be in the future is locked in, right? So you can figure, okay, well, this is how much the buyout will be at the end of the lease. But what wasn't factored in is the cost of the payments because of the interest rates. Now you think about it. Somebody leases their dream car, they're super stoked, they've been driving around like, like they don't own it for the last couple of years, and now they're faced with the possibility of either giving it up or giving back and or buying it outright. Now, since interest rates have more than almost doubled, let's say, um, people are sitting here going, "Oh my gosh!" There are people losing their jobs. There are people that are getting paid less when you consider inflation, right? As opposed to what it was like in 2020, inflation is exploding. So there's a lot of people that just don't have the money to go out and buy that car and refinance it into a full blown loan with these higher rates. So they're going to start turning them in, and they're going to be seeking cars that are cheaper. Now think about this interesting thing. If one third of the vehicles in 2020 are now about to hit the market as lease returns, let's say most of those get sent in. Think about the glut of inventory of cars that are 3 years old that are about to hit the market. As a matter of fact, I've studied this before when I wanted to go buy I wanted to buy a Lexus hybrid. That was something I really wanted when the ES 300s came out back in, what was it, 2017, 2018. I really wanted to buy one. I don't know. I liked it. I just thought it would be super cool. I like Lexus. They've done great in the past for me. And I wanted one of these. Well, what the biggest bang for the buck was to buy a lease return back then because they were coming in, they were treated really well because there was all these parameters around them, and I could pretty much judge the value of those cars based on the lease returns. And there were so many of them. Now think of it this way. Think about right now. We have this opportunity. I've told you I'm waiting till the third quarter or fourth quarter to start making moves in the car industry, to start looking for cars that I've been waiting for. If all of a sudden all of these cars are getting turned in the second, third, fourth quarter of 2023, because 2020 is when everything started, right? Everything got shut down in the spring of 2020. So if people started rushing out in the second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter of 2020, now they're going to be racing back to their dealers and saying, here's the keys. I don't want it. I'm done paying. I need a cheaper payment because I can't afford this lease payment or something worse when I have to buy it outright. So now we're going to have a glut of inventory starting really in earnest in the third quarter and fourth quarter this year, only exacerbating the issue when it comes to excess inventory. So that's why I believe you're going to see even more opportunities coming in the end of this year and really moving into 2024, because again, 2021 also had a massive amount of cars that were being leased because people were still getting their checks. They were getting SBA loans from their businesses. They were doing all kinds of things. We saw people that were literally leasing Lamborghinis with their SBA funds. Absolutely criminal, but they were doing it. And so if people are that brazen to be able to, buy a Lambo or lease a Lambo from business funds that they were getting from the government during this shutdown, think about how many average people just went out and bought something they couldn't afford, that they're about to need to dive right back into the market and go, I can't afford this. I need just a beater right now just to get me by. Guys, I think this is really exciting information, and I can't wait to get some more information from this insider this week. We're going to be chatting, and I'm going to bring you some more information. But it really opens up the thoughts of how much true inventory is about to hit the markets. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day. Thank you to everybody. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you all the new subscribers, and thank you once again to everyone that's been subscribing and supporting this channel for the last two and a half years. All right, guys, that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.